This is Sarnia Lambton Daily for Monday, June 8th. Good evening, I'm Terry Doyle. The Ontario government has announced that many areas of the province will be able to move to stage 2 of reopening. Sarnia Lambton is not on that list. During the pandemic, this region has been among the worst hit for COVID-19 cases per 100,000 residents and deaths per 100,000 residents, consistently in the top 10 in terms of those total numbers throughout Ontario during the pandemic. Now, Sarnia Lambton will be allowed to have social gatherings up to 10 people, more than the previous limit of 5. That goes into place on Friday. So while some places will see restaurants, hairdressers, and other services reopen this Friday, Sarnia Lambton will have to wait at least another week.
I know we're all eager to get things back to normal, and no one wants to get the economy going and get people back to work more than I do. And that means having a responsible plan. It means taking the best scientific advice and working together with our partners. It means recognizing that the situation is different in different parts of Ontario. It means moving cautiously but decisively. And most importantly, it means doing everything necessary to keep people safe as we reopen.
For more on this, let's go down to Sarnia City Hall, where Mayor Mike Bradley joins me now. And Mike, we heard from the Premier earlier today. Certainly some mixed messages there. The one thing with the regional thing, it looks like it's going to be in place. Give me your take on what you've heard from the Premier today.
Well, my understanding is that there's going to be certain parts of this region that can open because of their low death toll, and that includes Chatham-Kent, Sarnia, and Windsor-Essex will not be opening right away. That could change. It's all based on the formula of the number of deaths and what else has happened with the number of cases of COVID. I work with a group of mayors in the region, and I've been talking to mayors across the province the last week or two. It's not really the direction that we wanted. We went into this as a province. We come out as a province. The GTA will continue to be isolated, and that in turn, I think, is going to create some tensions between the different regions. And the big fear of the Southwestern Ontario mayors, which is almost universal of the large cities, is that we don't want a migration to our communities, the ones that can open, because they will bring the COVID virus with them and put us back in another couple of weeks or a couple of months or whatever. So I'll look for more information on the analysis of why the Premier has done it this way. But I know some people will really welcome that, and I understand it if their region is lower in cases. But then they've got to worry now about the influx of people, particularly this week when the temperatures are going to be very hot all week. So we'll see how it unfolds.
I was talking to some people over the weekend, and their thought was basically, if you're going to do regionally, break it up. So, for example, if you said, okay, Ontario, North Bay to the Manitoba border, for example, i.e. you're not going to have people on the 401 corridor going up to those regions. If they were going to use a regional approach, you think at least it needs to be that spread out, or more sort of pockets of the province where, for example, if you're going to open up the Southwest, you open up all of it or none of it?
Well, I know, Terry, I wrote to the Premier late Friday afternoon. It was a pretty short email simply saying, please define to us the criteria you're going to use to do this regionalization. And I understand he did see the letter. I don't know where that's in the mix, because it seems to me they're doing a bit of a checkerboard opening up in this region when you look at who's open or who can open up quicker than other parts. Now, it may be that if the criteria shows that we just need to keep pushing to get those cases down, and we are moving in that direction, then that's a positive thing. That would be good for us, because it would show the public, here's a goal. If we can continue to do the things we're doing, we can get to that place others have got to.
And do you find that's the challenge right now? Because with being cooped up for so long, people have kind of gotten complacent a little bit, and this is where there could be that risk of a fallback.
I think, Terry, that's a really good question, because what I'm observing now, including myself, you're getting to that calculated risk. I've done this, I wear the mask, I do this, I social distance. And people need some relief. And that's why I think you're seeing more people saying, look, it's now been, in our case, I declared the emergency 82 days ago. Never in my wildest dreams did I think, 82 days later, I'd be sitting here talking to you about the COVID crisis. I thought it would move quicker. But we haven't, because we simply didn't do what I think we should have done. And that's not just trying to justify hindsight, it's just the reality. New Zealand today is COVID-free. And what they did at the beginning is they went in with tough medicine, they shut the country down. I recognize they're more isolated, but you do know that New Zealand has had fewer deaths than Sarnia itself. And so what they've done, they've accomplished their goal, mission accomplished, and I hope it stays that way. But the fact is, if you take the castor oil at the beginning, if we'd shut down as a country and a province for 2 or 3 weeks, I think we'd be in a much better place today instead of this sort of slow approach, which in turn, I think has led to the spread of the disease.
As we've gone forward and people are trying to work their way out of this, I guess it's got to be interesting to see sometimes people's priorities when it comes to health versus the wants, I guess. And I'm sure if I gave you $1 for the number of times people asked you when our hair salon's going to open, you'd be a very rich man right now.
Yes, and unfortunately, many people think that we are the deciders on who closes and who doesn't. We absolutely have nothing to do with it. And yes, hairdressers are at the top of the list, nail salons, dentists, dog grooming was a big issue for a while, and then that got addressed. And people were having a hard time with that. You can have a dog grooming place open, but you can't have a hairdressing place open. So it's difficult. And I also understand the dilemma the province is in. This is all new, and you're trying to figure it out, and you're trying to make sure that the virus doesn't spread. And the group I really at this point struggle with for them is restaurants. Where the province is moving forward with some relaxation of the patio rules, so it's not going to be as complicated and difficult. If you don't have a patio, you can establish one. The city has taken some steps last week at City Council to really free up, give flexibility to restaurant owners. Until they get that green light, it's going to be difficult, and the rules will be different. Probably 50% occupancy, time you can come in, prepaying. All those things will probably be based on what's happened in BC. So it's been difficult, and people, I'd say 80% of the public have been very supportive, even though they don't like the rules and they don't like being cooped up. I noticed from where I live on the waterfront that there are many more people out there walking because it's really one of the few things they can do, and that's good. But they're tired, and it's understandable. So as this moves forward, this is a great risk on Ford's part, what has been announced today, because if it doesn't work, we're going to have to claw it back through the province. Is going to have to take steps to go retroactively back and take away some of the freedoms granted to business and to people. So that's a tough decision to make, and I understand what it's like to make tough decisions, so I hope it works out for them.
Could there be an opportunity out of this when it comes to the patios where certain places will try things and maybe open up more of a patio downtown Sarnia, for example, and maybe it could turn into more opportunities for the downtown?
Well, it's ironic. Back in the early 90s when we widened Front Street, I asked the staff if we could canvass the street property owners about expanding the street, for the sidewalks so we could have patios. And the answer came back from the business owners at the time, no, it was ahead of its time, but I think its time has come. And there are ways that we can be creative to help, and we've loosened our rules to allow patios for some of the businesses that don't have them, or expansion of some of the places that do have them. And I think that's good. And I think one of the other things you'll see is sort of a related issue. I don't think the province will ever be able to take back carry-out beer and wine from restaurants as it's supposed to happen at the end of this year. It's supposed to be only for this year. I think those days are gone. People like it. It's a great good thing for the restaurants too. So I think things are coming that will bring some positive changes. I do worry about the downtown, but I can tell you this, the Bayside land documents were signed last Tuesday in this office. That sale's underway and gone, and the fact is that the county will be dealing with the issue, and I expect a positive outcome for July and August. And that's a huge investment in the downtown at a time that people didn't think it would happen. It took a lot of work by Chris Carter, the city council, and city staff to make it happen on the land sale, but it did happen, and now that's going to move forward, which is really encouraging at a time we know we're going to see some closures downtown, that we do have a very significant investment going into the property and into downtown and into the community.
And I guess that's the thing. You look at that with the new development going there with Seasons and what they're going to do with Bayside, the idea of patios, you get the Imperial Theatre back up and running when it's time, the capacity allows for it. There's really some opportunities. I could imagine a night where sitting on the patio to have dinner, go for a drink after the theatre performance, just so much more that can be done. Downtown's obviously come along as it is, but I'm sure I'll be able to take that next step over the next 24 months.
And this is a great way, Terry, to experiment, to look at creativity as it relates to the restaurants and the patios. I mean, people love patios. I love patios. So it doesn't matter even where they are. When you go to Toronto, you'll see patios in back alleys, but people love being outside in those months that we call summer here. So I think there's a chance for us to experiment, do some creative things, and work with the private sector to help them get through this crisis.
One of the things we hear on our social media feedback, obviously the hair salons is the big one, but is the push and pull of saying, okay, the beaches are open, you can go to the beach, but then the next thing is, well, I can't park near the beach. And I guess that's got to be a challenge that way, where the parking lots need to be closed for the gatherings, but yet they can access certain things as well.
Well, it's true. I mean, we look at that issue every week. Now, we've kept our parking lots closed in conjunction with the village of Point Edward, who are part of our primary control group, is because they have construction going on down there, which is coming to an end. We will look at that issue. What will help us a lot, though, if other places are opening their beaches, like Grand Bend isn't opening, I believe, for this month. If other places are opening, Chatham-Kent opens, then that will take some of the pressure of people flooding into our community, and we'll just deal with what we normally deal with. But we keep on looking at the issue, and there will be a point in time where those barricades will come away.
Obviously, as we see the numbers right now, a lot of it is related to the long-term care, and we've seen the province has said, you know, it's time to take a look at that issue. I know it's a provincial issue, but I'm sure welcoming the fact of just taking a new look or an updated look at everything right now to see how we can make things better for people.
Well, Terry, it's really sad that so many lives had to be lost to get governments to focus on long-term care. There's probably 25 reports in the last 25 years on long-term care and the deficiencies in the system. But it never got the traction with governments to act till we had these tragedies. And you look what's happened in our own community with Vision Nursing Home. So hopefully out of this terrible tragedy, something substantial will happen. I think the whole long-term business is going to change dramatically. It may end up just being in the public sector, not the private sector, because there's a difference between how the public sector and the private sector have been handling this. And so, yeah, again, tragedy, but I think if we can get some real changes, and it's going to be a difficult issue for the Ford government because they've been in power 2 years yesterday and took some steps that did not assist long-term care homes in their operation. That's related to inspections. So, you know, every party's guilty on this one of not paying enough attention because we warehouse people in this country. We don't give them the respect they deserve at the end of their lives. And this, I think, will shake up a lot of people to bring really good, positive change.
Finally, as you get a chance to see a lot, you mentioned a lot of people walking along the waterfront. Maybe it's once again an opportunity for people to experience the waterfront more in this area, take advantage of it, have those little mini even staycations, maybe at the hotels near the waterfront to really grow this region and make it flourish even more.
Yes, and not only that, go walk your neighborhood. The way Canadian cities are designed anymore, they're not. I think the biggest mistake we ever made was not having front porches. If you look at the southern portion of the city with the front porches, that's where you get a sense of neighborhood. In the newer subdivisions, people are in their backyards or their basements. So I just urge people, get out, walk your neighborhood, understand your neighborhood. I do a couple of walks through the South End every winter, and I love it. I go through the neighborhood, I see the care and the respect for people's homes, and it's really invigorating. So not just the waterfront, the whole community. Just get out there and explore it.
Mike, good to see you. We'll talk to you soon. There's Sarnia Mayor Mike Bradley joining us here. Stay tuned. You're watching Sarnia Lambton Daily on your TV. Welcome back to Sarnia Lambton Daily. Well, as we know, during the pandemic, many people have been stepping up to help many people in the community. Here's another one. Carolyn Pennie joins me now. Carolyn, Bare Necessities Little Lunches. How are you? And tell me about it.
I am very well, and Bare Necessities Little Lunches was an idea that was sparked on the 9th of April, because we all know the world kind of changed come Friday the 13th of March. And on Friday the 9th of, or April the 9th, I decided we're just going to start bagging up little lunches to help children who would have enjoyed the breakfast program or nutritional programs at school. So I bagged up 100 over Easter weekend and decided to call Children's Aid Society, and they were on board. And I contacted some of the local schools. I actually contacted all the schools, and I'm working with 4 at the moment. So High Park, London Road, Queen Elizabeth, P. McGibbon. Huge shout out to these guys who've been working really hard behind the scenes for me too. And there's other schools, if they haven't came on board, they have helped us to raise donations for the cause. It's just amazing. So on April 9th, there was 100 bagged up, and by May 9th, there was 1,000 bagged up. And to date, we've issued 2,988 little lunches.
Wow, going for that 3,000 mark. That's awesome. So Carolyn, you know, you saw the need, and I guess that's the thing where breakfast programs, lunch programs were there, but now these kids are at home. Tell me how the feedback you got and how it took off.
So the feedback we've received has been very positive, and there's no judgment or anything like that. It's just kids had these to enjoy at school, and we just wanted to bridge the gap. So Bare Necessities was welcomed as a special works under St. Vincent de Paul, under that local charity, so we could help raise donations for the cause. And then there's so many other people have helped us too, like Noel's Gift, Alvin Cleaning and Painting, Sarnia Professional Firefighters, their community benefit fund, they stepped up. Foodland in Brights Grove actually set up a little aisle at the end of checkout 6. So you can pick up a little lunch, you can pay for it and donate it to them, and it all comes right back here and we put it out to the community for the children who need it. And I was lucky enough to get to go out with 2 of the schools so far to see where the distribution has gone to. And there's little kids who are waving from the porch, they're really happy. There was 2 little ones that stand out in my head. They gave me like a peace sign and they're saying, you know, don't work too hard. And I'm thinking, that's great advice, but we're gonna work all the harder to try and get this off the ground even more. And there was another couple of people that I want to mention, and one is Jen. She's been a huge support, and the other is Tegan Scott, who has just rallied around different hockey moms. And then we set up a food barrel at Colburn Road Fire Hall. And today, like when I was coming here for this Zoom meeting, I just picked up another 2 grocery bags out of it. It's just amazing. The people that are behind the scenes here, thank you all, because it's bigger than just me.
Absolutely. So then, you know, we talk about the distribution. Normally, the kids are in schools, of course, they're right there. Now,
That's
with
right.
them all being at home, how has that sort of distribution been facilitated?
So it's being facilitated by friendly faces that the children know, and that's been teachers who have stepped up. Carissa, one of my amazing teachers. There's many others, principals, Kaylee, Cam Gordon, who else can I mention there? They've gone out and they've delivered. Carol Watergreen, they've gone out and delivered, so the children see their faces, and there's been a team of volunteers rallied around and they've delivered to the children. But it's all been contactless because we understand that during COVID, we can't be in the homes or anything like that. So it's all dropped off given our unprecedented times here.
And of course, there's the people that are, of course, teachers and vice principals at the schools and things like that. And are you hearing that the fact that here it is making this little lunch available, but also seeing that familiar face when they've been having to do their schooling from home, I guess that just helping, and almost the lunch was the reason for them to see each other. And that's got to be a big thing just to keep those faces in a little less isolation.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge to keep that, you know, because for adults, it's a very strange time. So for children, who knows what they must be thinking at times. But we just wanted them to know that they're loved where they are. And like, we want them to know that there's extra help around and there's people in the community that genuinely care. And that's what the program was about. And getting the food out there to the children that would have enjoyed breakfast club or snack programs.
What is in these little lunches for the most part?
So we have put in non-perishable items because it's easiest to coordinate, and they're peanut free. So things like your granola bars, water bottles, juice boxes, fruit cups. What else? We did popcorn for a week. We try to mix it up every single week. So the other thing was craft dinner that just has gone out in a load today. So it's just different items. What else do we want to say? Maybe Ritz crackers, things like that. They've all gone out. And then we've had some really nice ideas from like having the food supply barrel where people have dropped in other items. I thought, oh, awesome, we can think about that now. So I have to think it's quite a process bagging them up. I know I've done it sometimes for our volunteers when we put together packs of 20 or 25. It's one thing to do 100. Is it one of those where, you know, you get the food and everything's sort of spread across the table and start bagging it all up? Absolutely. I have a little production line going on, and I have a helper or 2 around the home that sometimes don't mind being voluntold, so they'll come on board, and then we'll bag up. And we figured out we could do Queen Elizabeth in under 10 minutes. So practice makes perfect.
It sounds like this has brought a lot of, it's been rewarding in terms of being able to help out the community.
Absolutely. And we also rolled out, little rainbow stickers one week. The rainbow is a huge symbol of hope. And we've been putting those little lunch notes in there, just saying be happy for 1 week. And we're coming up with new ideas as time goes out. So there's a couple other things that are exciting in the works, but I won't reveal it all. That's why we have a Facebook page, so you can follow it and check us out on there too. So it's Bare Necessities Sarnia. And the other phenomenal thing was we have a fundraiser currently going on with Screen Prints. They have t-shirts made up for us. So I got a slogan going. It's called, actually you should go on Screen Prints and just check out for yourself. So Screen Prints, for every t-shirt sold, t-shirts are sold at $20. Bare Necessities receives $7.50 from that. So
could you imagine this was going to take off as much as it has when you started this on April 9th?
Yes, I did. because I called my mother, and she is one of my biggest supporters, and I called her up, and she straight away, she said, Carolyn, get on there, get bagging. She said, go out on the streets with a megaphone. And I thought, well, not everybody wants to hear my voice, so we'll do it a little more discreet than that. So yes, this is exactly how I envisioned it, and I would just ask for people to continue donating to the cause, because we're going right out there to the children in the community during these times. And my friends too, they have been phenomenal. There are people out there who just know when somebody needs help, they step up and they help them. And it was just as simple as that. There's people who need a little extra help at this time. There's people who are willing to help, and we just married the two together.
At some point, we may be kind of back to normal, whatever normal looks like. Where do you see the program fitting in down the road?
So I've already had those discussions with the principals and vice principals that we're partnered with currently, and we would love to keep extending this into other vacations, such as, you know, your March break, your summer, and Christmas. And we know there are other programs helping along during those times, but we would like to continue the outreach even when schools do return. And whatever the new norm will be, we'll wait to see, but we would like, this is not just going to end at COVID. There's clearly a need, and we will continue to help.
Carolyn, your TV over the course of the pandemic has been running a Local Heroes program where it's run across the province, but on our Your TV Sarnia social media as well, and all the Your TV stations. And local people are nominating other local people who have stepped up to help out. You were nominated and chosen as one of the winners. So Your TV is providing dinner for you and a few friends and family just to have your own little break. I understand you know, when you found out who nominated you, you had no idea who it was.
I did not know the lady personally. No, I reached out to her, and I thanked her very much for the nomination, because it wasn't expected. And like I say, this is way bigger than just one person. Whenever I was having the chat with a coworker, you know, on April 9th, and I was talking to her, she reminded me, she said, you know, just remember there are others out there who can help. And boy, was she ever right. So thank you for the person, Kelly, who nominated me. That was just very unexpected, and I'm thankful for it. So thank you very much. Dinner from Stokes Inland being provided by Your TV. People watching us right now, Carolyn, how can they help out? Terry, I have to just mention one more thing. Whenever I was actually at Stokes collecting my gift certificate, I got talking about the program, because guess what? I talk about it a lot. And when I was talking to the owner, he reached into his own pocket and he handed out the cash that he had. So for that, thank you, Terry, at Stokes Inland. That was really thoughtful, and thank you for that.
That's awesome, and certainly definitely great community partners there at Stokes as well. So I was going to say, so people watching us now, how can they help out?
So they can help out in various ways. Under St. Vincent de Paul, you can donate either via checks or cash to 106 East Street. You can drop off actual food supply. We ask for sealed individual non-perishable peanut-free snack items, and there is a food bar located at the rear parking lot of Colburn Road Fire Hall. You can go online via Canada Helps through the Facebook page Sarnia Bare Necessities Sarnia. You go on through that, and there's an e-transfer method. Basically, however you want to donate, we'll pretty much get that sorted. So thank you. And like I said, we will be reaching right out to the children.
Well, Carolyn, congratulations on this. It has certainly gone very well, and keep up the great work, you and your team. It's such a great idea to help out and paying it forward, and we appreciate it. And stay well, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Bye, Terry.
There's Carolyn Pennie joining us, Bare Necessities Little Lunches program that has been a hit all across the Sarnia area. Stay tuned. You're watching Sarnia Lambton Daily on Your TV. Recapping our top story tonight, Sarnia Lambton is not part of the areas of the province that can move to Stage 2 this Friday. While limits on social gatherings can increase here from 5 to 10 people effective Friday, things like restaurants and hairdresser reopenings will have to wait until at least June 19th. That's our show tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow.